Still got a couple of minutes. You guys look like you're getting in trouble here. Sounds like a good time to start. All right. We'll now call the City Council special meeting to order for May 25th, 6 p.m. Please rise to the invocation and pledge of allegiance. The invocation was given by Councilwoman Brittany McGuire.
Dear Lord, we thank you for this evening. We thank you for the opportunity for all of us to come together tonight to make these important decisions as far as downtown is concerned. Lord, I'm asking you to give everyone in this room wisdom and understanding as we go through this presentation. Lord, help us to make the best decision, the decision that you would have us to make in this situation. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Madam Clerk, if you'll please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Councilmember McGuire.
Here.
Councilmember McCure.
Here.
Councilmember Taylor.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Bernard.
Here.
Mayor Anderson.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. As you know, this is a special meeting. So we have Renaissance Planning with us on FDOT to discuss the Main Street Lane repurposing project. Who would like to start? All right. If you will, just give your name and company for the record.
Good evening. Contracted by.
Is that microphone on right there? A little blue light on? Okay. Yeah.
No.
Just a little quiet.
No.
No.
I'll get you a better mic. I'll get you a better microphone.
Hold on for the record.
We just wanted to get captured in the record there, so.
Okay, good evening.
There we go.
Frank Kalpakis, Renaissance Planning, contracted by the Florida Department of Transportation. Great to be here tonight. Good to see you all again. I am going to provide an overview of the intent of our meeting today and go over some of the alternative concepts for your consideration. What we'd like to do is for your consideration of passing a resolution of the alternative that you feel is appropriate in the downtown, and then we can move forward. And I'll go over all of that.
Okay.
But just to provide some context for people who might be listening in, there's a planned resurfacing, restoration, and rehabilitation project on Main Street and down State Road 17 that's scheduled in fiscal year 2026. And we took the opportunity to reach out to you. You requested that we evaluate a potential lane repurposing to look at opportunities to provide additional parking, maybe multimodal facilities and that sort of thing. So we engaged the community on a couple of occasions, really to clarify the vision, the desires for the downtown core and Main Street itself. And we evaluated a potential lane repurposing that might align with those desires. And so I'll go over some of the concepts that we defined. Okay, the vision that we heard from the community in our workshops and collaboration was that we wanted to have Main Street as a destination. Do what we can to attract people to Main Street.
Yep.
To also create a pedestrian environment where bringing energy to the street, where it's comfortable and safe to walk around, visit different businesses and those sorts of things. Enhance the pedestrian experience, and then to create a safe place for people to walk and bike as well. And then look at additional parking. The other thing that we heard was that there was a desire to do things to deter trucks using big trucks from using down Main Street. In terms of the traffic flow, we evaluated existing conditions and then future conditions. What would happen if we reduced a lane in terms of the traffic flow in the corridor? And when you remove a lane, the difference in the level of service, how motorists move through the corridor and flow through the corridor is inconsequential. It might take a little bit longer to get through when you remove a lane, but it also can improve operations at the intersections, particularly when motorists are turning left, because we're taking motorists out of the stream and they're in a dedicated lane so that they can turn left and cross the median. If there's two, if those motorists that want to take a left are in the traffic stream, sometimes they need to stop. And what happens is the vehicles behind those left turning cars are stuck, and it creates sometimes aggressive driving to get around that car. So that it could improve operations at the left turning intersections. So we want, again, we want to draft the resolution for your consideration. The benefits of the resolution is that it helps to codify the vision developed by the community. It will advance the community one step closer to reaching its vision. And it serves as a basis for future projects that you might want to implement beyond a potential lane repurposing. The resolution will include the community vision for Main Street, the existing conditions that do not align with the vision, and specific alternatives that you desire for different parts of the corridor. We've organized it into 3 different zones. So these are the different zones that we define. The first is the US 27 approach. And so we looked at it, build over, if we did nothing and kept the configuration as it is. And then the other alternative that we evaluated was incorporating a eastbound bicycle lane and leaving the on-street parking on the westbound, in the westbound direction. And the central Main Street zone, we looked at parallel parking with new turn lanes and a buffered bicycle lane. And then in zone 3, the historic Main Street, we looked at both an parallel parking with a bicycle lane or angular parking in that zone without a bicycle lane. The bicyclists would use would share the lane with motorists, and it'd be marked just in the downtown core. So these illustrations show the existing conditions. So you have the 11-foot through lane, and then the wide lane that's used to turn at US 27. The recommended alternative is shown here. It shows the bicycle lane in the eastbound direction and parallel parking in the westbound direction, which currently exists today. Zone 2, you have 11-foot turn lanes and a 10-foot drive lane. Also, there's existing parallel parking. And then the alternative that we're recommending here is to include a bicycle lane and with a 2-foot buffer between that and the parallel parking. Zone 3, there's two 11-foot drive lanes, 7-foot parking, parallel parking. And what we're recommending is angled parking, removing one of the through lanes for angled parking. And as I mentioned earlier, marking the concrete for shared bicycle use just in the downtown. We also looked at the other concept that has parallel parking, maintaining the parallel parking, but adding a bicycle lane through Zone 3. So the advantages of the buffered bicycle lane is that it encourages active transportation and it takes cars off the road. It encourages people to use their bike instead of a car. It reduces conflict between the drivers, the cyclists, and the pedestrians, and it prevents cyclists slowing down through the lane. So in Zone 3, with the sharrows, it works well in Zone 3 because sharrows require less space than a dedicated bike lane. The disadvantages is that the cyclists can slow the traffic down, but I think that's an objective in Zone 3. And then it's less safe than a dedicated bike lane. That's obvious. In terms of the angled parking, we're recommending reversed angled parking. And the reason for that is that it's much safer. Because the driver has better visibility of oncoming traffic. And so when they're pulling out of the space, they're not backing into the traffic, which slows the traffic down. But the main thing is that it's much safer to pull out and enter into the traffic stream. The other advantages is that it's easier to load and unload. And then also it's safer to exit the vehicle and access the shops and restaurants and those sorts of things. The disadvantage is that it is a learning curve. Just like with any kind of new, you think about a roundabout or a traffic circle, the first time you go through it, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but people get used to it. And then it becomes just old hat. And these illustrations shows how that looks. So you can see when you back in, you're looking left, seeing the motorists come. It's easier and safer to pull out into the traffic stream than backing in. Whereas if you're pulling in, your sight vision is lost. You can't see the motorists coming down the street as well. The other thing that we've designed is the chicane concept. And what this does is moves the motorist through the corridor, kind of weaves around the left turn storage where we have turning lanes, and then around the parallel parking where we have that. So the motorists kind of weave through the corridor, and that works really well in kind of calming the traffic. It also includes a buffered bike lane. And this illustration shows you kind of how that works. Where the motorists are meandering over from the left turn lane and then meandering back around the parking. The other thing that this will do is it'll deter trucks from using Main Street as much. They will use other routes that they can use to get to the destination quicker. And so 17A, for example, is the truck route, is the designated truck route, which is just north of here. And trucks, there is signage there, but we think we can make it even more prominent for trucks to use that and bypass Main Street. And then others will just use 27 as well. So we have engineering diagrams. You may have seen these before, but if you wanted to refer to those, we can bring them up when we start talking about it. And so I'm going to stop here and just kind of open it up for discussion about, reactions to the different alternatives, and then any kind of concerns you have, we'll try to address any of your questions so you can make.
Very good. Okay, does any of the council have any questions at this point?
I have quite a few, but ladies want to go first.
Go ahead.
Yep. So what'd you say?
Go ahead.
I'll say go ahead.
All right, well, even though it seemed like this was a short amount of time for us to come to a conclusion with this, it actually was more than enough time, I think, for myself to get the chance to talk to more business people than the last first meeting we had, more residences, talked to other politicians, previous mayors. I actually talked to a senator today, as well as people who represent the college.
Quit bragging.
Sorry about that. But I just want you to know that, the different opinions that you get, it's really kind of amazing how some people are really stuck on one idea or not. And then some people are kind of like this or that or whatever. But I would say the one thing that everybody agreed on, which I agree 100% on also, is safety. Safety is the most important thing that we have to look at here when we're making our decision. And I think the one thing that I personally noticed, especially the last couple of weeks, is I made a note to go out and drive around Main Street in early morning, after lunch, and then maybe early evening or late afternoon to look at the traffic situation and so on and so forth. And that's when I really noticed that I spent more time on Main Street during the day to see how many people actually were speeding on Main Street. And so that was very discomforting for me to realize that I didn't realize it was that bad. And actually one business person told me that part of the reason that you see them down towards the section number 3, the zone number 3, is because people are racing towards that lane change from 2 lanes to 1 lane. They're going towards the high school. And so that made a lot of sense to me, because that's where a lot of the times, like when you leave here, I leave that direction, I have to cross over, Main Street to get to the north side. And so I've even seen, after meetings, seen people speeding through that area right there. So with that being said, I have a lot of questions that, if you don't mind, I'd like to just start from scratch and kind of go by that. And then we'll see what everybody else has to say, and then we'll make up our own opinions and see how we look at it. The first thing I wanted to ask you is, I know at one time you talked about changing the 4-lane to 2-lane, like almost right off the bat, like after the first or second block. This sort of looks like you possibly made the change going towards Butler or towards Central. Where exactly were you're changing the basically going from on 27 going east?
Yep.
Okay, going east. I think at one time, I can't quite tell by some of your pictures exactly where you change them, because
Yeah, we can probably zoom into that, but what we have is a merge lane. So if you're coming,
where does that merge lane start? That's my question.
we'll show it's about halfway between 27 and Anoka. And so it's Yeah, I don't know if you can see this on your screen or, but we have the merge lane where the through traffic will merge left, get in the left lane. And then if we also have a turn lane right there too for people who are gonna turn on Anoka.
Okay, so in my opinion, I think that's too soon. I think people, when they come off of 27, they need more time to be able to transverse in which lane they want to go to, depending on whether they want to turn left or right eventually into the residential areas, or whether they want to eventually merge through and go straight to the downtown business section. So I'd rather look at a longer time to do it, maybe closer to DeSoto or Summit, which is maybe about a third of the way down or halfway down between zone 1 and zone 2. I think that would just give them a lot more time. And part of the reason that I bring that up is because one of my concerns, which I brought up in the past also, was the fact if we do it too soon, what's going to happen is you're going to turn around and you're going to self-encourage people to avoid Main Street and then use side roads to go down the residential road. And actually, one of the comments I received today was that other cities that they knew had done this. And what's happened is it made the residential streets like a little speedway instead of the main street. And so that's something we need to stay away from because that's where all your kids are.
Right.
So I think the more time we give a chance for people, in my opinion, to get in the right lane to decide whether they want to get almost halfway and either get in the left lane or turn left to go north or get in a lane to turn right to go south, or to continue the merge into a lane to go towards the business section. I think that's a better way to go. That's my own opinion, and that's what the opinion I've heard from maybe about 70% of business and residence owners.
Can Govardhan hear us? Govardhan, are you on the Zoom meeting? Okay. Anyway, there's an engineering logic to this based on the traffic volumes that we predict. And the left, because to your point, you don't want to create a congested situation right there where people are just trying to outmaneuver each other. So
One point on that you're talking about, and kind of goes to his question, is whenever you're entering Main Street, you're only ever entering Main Street from one lane. Is that correct? There is no 2 lanes onto Main Street. It only becomes 2 lanes once you're on Main Street.
Yes.
So if you're in a turn lane on 27, taking a right to the east, that's 1 lane, 1 turn lane on 27. You can't turn from 2 lanes. If you're turning east from northbound,
Right.
You're still turning in 1 lane. If you're coming straight across to Main Street from 64, there's a turn lane and there's 1 straight through lane.
Yeah.
So you're not having the same effect that you would have by City Hall, where they're trying to beat each other to get into that 1 lane. It's only ever starting as 1 lane. And so it only spreads out when it gets to Main Street is kind of what I'm saying.
I see your point. Okay, can I go forward?
you can.
Okay, the other question I have, I look like even in the new changes on all the areas where I look like you're adding quite a bit more parallel parking. Is that correct?
We're adding parallel parking where we can, but we don't want to block any kind of driveways and that sort of thing.
Okay, and then let me ask you one other question. I know there's at least 1 location there, and there may be more when you get down to the business section. If let's say you had 5 parallel parkings, if you change that into angular parking, how many parking spaces would you have?
Okay, I have those numbers. Yeah, if with the existing parallel parking, is you're gonna add 33 more spaces.
All up and down Main Street.
In that zone 3, 33 more spaces.
In zone 3 only, you would add
Mhm.
33 more than what's now?
Yes, with angled parking versus parallel parking.
Okay, well, that makes a little more sense to me on that zone 3 section only. I will make the comment that most people I talk to, including myself too, I disagree on the backing angular parking, which I know some people think is a good idea. I personally like to back up because I think it's safer that when you drive away, you can see the traffic.
Mhm.
But like you said, it's the learning curve. I think the one thing that people do know the learning curve a lot is when they go angular parking in a shopping center or a shopping mall or Walmart, Home Depot, whatever. A lot of people, that's parallel parking, that's angular parking where people go in and then they end up backing out. And I know that a lot of accidents do happen in the mall areas because of that, but at the same time, they're used to looking at the backup lights of a car starting to come out, and then they'll stop and let them out. So even though I think that would work better, because if you're talking about people who are in a hurry and somebody turns on their light and says, I want to turn in because I want to back up in this parallel parking, I'm not sure people are going to give you that space until they see your turn signal, for a long time. I just think that's a little bit too much to ask. And then most people I talked to, almost all of them said the same thing. Only one person said, besides the person on this council, I think I heard, said they like to back up into the angular parking.
Mhm.
So that's just my comment.
I get what you're saying.
Okay.
What I'll say is, it'll take people a little bit to kind of understand what to do and how to do it. But they will learn. They will learn that.
One thing on that, Jim, I did look up what other cities did in that case, because I guess this has gotten a little more popular since maybe around 2015-ish. When
Mhm.
I started seeing the news reports come on and Facebook posts and things like that. But a lot of cities held like a weekend workshop or two. So before it opens, having them actually come and try it out. Tons of people have already made really good videos. But I thought maybe even if we had it open to where the people who weren't sure about it could actually, come and try it out.
Well, especially because this project isn't going to start to 2026. Am I correct?
2026.
And it probably won't be finished until 2027.
It won't be open till 2027.
That's what I read somewhere else. It said 2027 was the predicted ending of the project. So you're right that we could have a time frame in between where
Mhm.
people you could put in maybe the angular parking and then see if people would give that to you even with 2 lanes, and then see maybe they would be used to it once they got down to just a 1 lane,
Right.
going that. And that gives them plenty of time to practice. So
Right.
that's a good idea. And, it depends on whether the city wants to turn around and, paint the angular parking in earlier before, the streets paved, or even just a practice area. But I think if you limit it mainly to just the downtown area, maybe to 2 blocks or something like that, I think that would probably be from past the railroad tracks to Delaney. I think I'd give that as an option from the way you brought it to me. So I appreciate that. Then I think that was it. I mean, are you pretty much firm then on changing transversing from the 4 lane to 2 lane, or whatever you want to call it? No.
It's your decision. I am trying to show the pros and cons of it, and trying to prepare concepts that will align with the vision for the corridor, which is what we heard. Let's make this a
Okay.
true downtown,
All
a
right.
walkable downtown,
And
safe downtown,
I like that part.
a
And
destination,
I like
energy on the street.
I'll make one final comment, and that was from actually one of the persons I talked to today. One thing I liked was the one engineer told me at the previous meeting we had I think it was last Thursday or whatever, said that we could always go back, that it was just painted stripes, that if in a 3, 4, 5 year process, it just didn't seem like it worked well for the city, especially if the city turns around and grows several thousand more people, and then it gets to be too crowded in the residential streets, and we need to get more open. We could go back. But the person I talked to, who was a politician, said that it's very, very difficult to get FDOT to be able to go back. So now we got FDOT expert here. Maybe he could answer that.
Yes, Kyle.
Yeah.
So. This still on? Yeah.
Yep.
Back to your point on. There's still a lot to go into this process. See a lane repurposing. Even after the resolution is voted on, but we'll say it does pass. And we do have unique occurrence on the lane repurposing. We still have to package up an engineering report, get our local office, District 1 office to sign off on it. Shouldn't be a problem. We've been in communication this entire time. But also the central office and the state engineering division in central office has to sign off on it too. There could be some back and forth between that. That may take a little time. And while that's going back and forth in the background, our design contract is also being let sort of at the same time. That's why we have such a short time frame to get this lane repurposing concurrence done with y'all, hence the special council meetings and all that. But there's a lot that still has to fall into place.
I'm in there.
From FDOT's side of the house for the lane repurposing to actually come to fruition, even if this council does pass a resolution. So I just kind of want that and just let y'all know it's, if you vote yes, there's still a lot of
Okay.
like PD&E funding still has to fall in the background for FDOT for it to come to fruition. We just believe that this is a good opportunity for the community. So we set out and, try to get y'all support for getting all the ducks in a row if those pieces do fall into place further down the road. And about reverting back, if the doesn't turn out to be exactly what you thought, I would say it would be a 5-year minimum.
Okay.
It would be hard. I mean,
All right.
5 years, I would place a minimum on the possibility of even having it go back.
Right.
So just kind of
Well,
want to make
I
sure everybody's expectations are.
appreciate your comments and opinions. I'm so glad that you're here tonight. And with that being said, Mayor, I yield back.
Okay. Any other questions?
So the
Go ahead. No, you go.
this has been one of the hardest things I've ever had to make think about, I don't have my head together tonight. Let me just ask you a question. Could it be postponed? Could this be postponed for a year? What would be if that were ever to be an option on the table, a postponement of a year? And let me tell you why I'm asking. I'm asking because we do have, no?
No,
Oh, it
Postpone.
cannot? Well, then,
because they're moving to design. The design is funded. It's happening next month.
well, we had a couple buildings on Main Street, they're vacant. I thought maybe we could get a year to have those buildings rented, occupied, get our Main Street back up good and strong. So then if I feel I'm very nervous. I'm very worried that this will take a lot of traffic off of Main Street. I feel like the businesses might take a hit from all the traffic that's not on Main Street. I don't feel like traffic and speed is the issue. I feel like law enforcement is the issue for the trucks. I worry about the traffic going off of Main Street, being on the back streets. I kind of worry about our law enforcement having to get through the back streets with all the other traffic or on Main Street.
Just Vitor Seguri for the record, community planner, FDOT. So the only reason why we can't move back because it's already been programmed, maybe 5+ years in advance. So this is just an opportunity for this existing project that's already in the pipeline. So it would be very difficult to remove that or to shift because the funds already been allocated and distributed. So that's why otherwise, I think if it was more flexible in a different scenario, but because the way it's already set up.
I want to see if I can alleviate some of your concerns. There's a lot of case study that is used to determine passerby traffic that would attend certain businesses. The businesses that rely a fair amount on passerby traffic or gas stations, convenience stores, but not as much residences, restaurants, other retail type businesses. People are going to go, it's a destination. They're going to use Main Street it's not that like they're going to drive down Main Street. Let me stop for that purpose. And so there's a lot of studies that show that's not.
Okay. Just out of my curiosity, where do you live?
Sir, well, if you could have a seat, we're going to call you whenever there's an opportunity.
I live in Tampa.
That's all I have.
I was just gonna say, the only thing that I was not, I had never seen before was, the chicane maneuvers and things like that. So I started researching that, and I would say all of what I saw as far as, reviews, news articles, Facebook posts, and I read all the comments, and normally they get pretty heated back and forth if I like it or I don't. But I would say all the ones that I read said that it brought such a like a peaceful, enjoyable experience when they were going downtown. They said, especially if it's done in a beautiful way. Some of them had bike racks, some of them had planters, some of them had, there were tons of photos and things like that. I was really encouraged by that because that was the only thing I was a little nervous about, just because I had never seen it before. So I thought that was pretty encouraging. As far as the vacant buildings, Shelley, I think it would kind of be the opposite. If we spend the time and the effort and we make Main Street beautiful. I've talked to quite a few people who are starting up businesses, and right now they're just in their home or it's a hobby or whatever. But they are they would be so eager to get down to Main Street. So I feel like if we did spend the time and the effort to make it beautiful, make it enjoyable, make it easy to access, I feel like that would draw more people in. And I think it would also encourage, because a lot of the buildings are owned by just a handful of people down Main Street.
Mhm.
They own multiple buildings. And I
Right.
feel like this would also be kind of like a catalyst for them to basically jump on the opportunity. It's becoming beautiful. It's engaging. It's encouraging people. Let me go ahead and get these vacant buildings out there. It might kind of give them a little push to open it up for those individuals who would like to start businesses.
Yes, sir. Do you have a question? Yep, that's fine. Just please give your name and address for the record.
My name is John Dutcher. I own Dutcher's Diner in Avon Park, Florida. Been there 16 years.
Okay.
I also ran another restaurant in Avon Park for 20 years before I got there. What I want to say is that I think it's a mistake what this man's talking about. I think it's a mistake having one lane coming from Highway 27 to come down Main Street. I think that there's a lot of accidents there. I think it just get worse. My life depends on it. I mean, I've been here 16 years. I don't have to be there. I could be somewhere else, but I like Avon Park. I've been here 37 years. And about the parking, the diagonal parking, I think it's a bunch of crap. If you want my personal. But I think that if you guys want to bring people, if you come down Main Street in the evening time, parking is not the problem. There's plenty of parking. It's the buildings and the businesses. If you want to bring people to this town, make it lucrative for business owners like me to be in this town. In other words, help on maybe some kind of incentives that would cause an owner, a business owner, restaurant, I don't care, any kind of restaurant, any kind of business, some kind of incentive to come to Avon Park. People will go somewhere that's good. It doesn't really matter about the parking. Okay. It might make it a little bit more convenient, but I want to tell you something. You turn Main Street to one lane, you call one lane the collision lane. I'm telling you, it's going to be a problem. And you think it's bad now, it's going to get worse. This man here, yeah, it's great. He's in Tampa. He don't live here. I live here. I own a business here. It makes a big difference. And I think if you guys decide on doing some crap like that, it's gonna be a big problem. Sorry about my language, but this is my life. I've been here a long
Yep.
time, you know, I know just about every damn person in Avon Park, you know, and I'm just a working guy. I'm not one of these guys that go out and wears a suit and tie, three-piece tie. I'm a worker. I work in my restaurant. I know my customers. I know, you know, I just think this idea is a mistake. I think if you want to bring people to this town, then I think being more on the business side of bringing businesses that makes it more lucrative where they could have a business here. And I'm telling you, the people will park their car if the business is right.
Yep.
Not, and all I am is I'm just a little guy.
I got a couple questions for you if you
Sure.
don't mind. Do you ever walk downtown, especially in zone 3?
I walk this whole
Right.
whole.
Talking about
road.
specifically around City Hall, Jacaranda, all that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do.
So do you ever feel uncomfortable crossing the road or notice that traffic is moving too quickly or anything like that?
No, I don't. I don't. Not really. I don't really think that it's a problem about the traffic moving too quickly. I don't think it's as much as the problem with the road as it is the people. Because just like all of us today, we're all in a hurry for everything.
Mhm.
Everything's got to happen quick. And it's just like the man said, he's like, when you go up here to the 2-lane, to the 1-lane, everybody's hauling ass trying to get up there. You know what I mean? But it isn't as much as the road's problem. It's the people's problem. We're all in a hurry about everything. And, you know, yeah, I'm a little bit older and yeah, I'm trying to be a little bit smarter, you know, but I think that it's not as much as and about the cars, you know, coming down here. I don't really think it's that big of a problem. I think, but I'll tell you what, if you make it 1 lane, it's going to get worse.
Okay. So you've ran a restaurant for, sounds like a very, very long time.
A long time, longer than you've been alive.
35 years.
Yep.
That's great. But that's what these guys do. Is they make roads.
Right,
They design roads.
Right.
So everything that you know about restaurants, they know about roads.
right.
So the engineers are telling you that this is a better way to go.
They live in Tampa. They don't
It
live
does,
here.
but sir, it doesn't matter where you live.
All right.
That's not the
Okay.
point. The point is that that's what they do for a living.
Right.
That's what they went to school for.
Right.
That's what the studies show.
Right.
So if all that knowledge is telling you that something is a better idea, don't you think it's a bit foolish for someone who doesn't have that knowledge to then overstep that?
No, I don't think it is. I don't think it's foolish. And the reason why I don't think it's foolish because Tampa's not here. This is
You're hung up on Tampa. You got to
No,
get rid of
what I'm
Tampa.
saying is that what I'm
pretty
saying
sure
is,
they all live in Tampa.
okay, doesn't matter about the town.
Yeah.
What matters is that what this is about is bringing more people to Avon Park. Is that right or not right?
Well, that's one of the side benefits, but the whole project.
Side benefits.
Yeah.
Okay. But okay, then I'll just put it this way. In my opinion, I think it would be.
Okay.
I think it would be a disaster because you're going to cause more problems with the parking and the lanes. And I tell you what, there probably will be less traffic. He's right about that. They're not going to come down Main Street. They're going to go somewhere else. They're not going to come down this road.
Okay.
And maybe I'm wrong. First time.
Very good.
Well, just one point on that. I mean, Dutcher's Diner, you are blessed to have a relatively large parking lot, you know, that's not right on Main Street. So I guess in my opinion, I'm trying to kind of balance it for those people who are on zone 3. Maybe if you as a fellow business owner, I'm a business owner, but if the guy down the street has ample parking and I only have a little bit,
Right.
you know, they may be, you know, thinking of the other side of the coin. Well, he's got a huge parking lot. You know, we want some parking.
It's
lot.
not so huge,
think-
honey. Let me tell you.
It's still bigger than, they only have like 5, but they only have like 5 parking spots. in the
Right.
front.
And I understand.
This, you know, would add 33. So
I know, but I don't, if I don't think about this.
yeah, well, I mean, I definitely agree that speed, I think, well, I mean, you said you didn't think speed was a factor, but I do think speed is one of the big issues as far as for the elderly community or for our children. I mean, Avon Park Middle School's right there. There's a lot of kids that try to cross that street every day.
Mhm.
I know a lot of kids that cross from the north side of town to go even to like the ice cream shop right there on Lake Avenue, right? Lake
Right.
Avenue. So they're crossing 4 lanes of traffic, to get ice cream. Not every parent is able to either be home from work and watch their kids or accompany their kids. So you're talking about, 8 and 10-year-olds
Yeah,
crossing 4 lanes of traffic.
right.
And I heard crosswalk out there. That's if you can, you rely on your 8-year-old to go to that crosswalk. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I feel like we definitely do need to slow it down a little bit. I think part of the traffic that he's saying is going to be off of Main Street are all those huge trucks, which I think would be a benefit to everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And the thing, is, the 17, the truck route is available. You
Right.
know what I mean? But I think that, the crosswalks are, how many businesses really in Avon Park? I'm telling you, I have seen businesses open and close.
And that's what we definitely want to change. I agree with you on that part as far
Yeah,
as the
And I think
incentives
that
and.
it should be more. I like competition. Competition makes me better.
Yeah.
But I think if we brought more businesses to Avon Park, you will see better parking. You will see.
Well, the thing about it is people go to pretty things. So I feel like if we make Main Street a pretty thing, and then we also, the twofold, you've got a board up here that's definitely pro-business right now.
Right.
So you put those two things together and I feel like we got a winning, team there. If we've got the beautification and then we've got
I'm all
the people that want the business. and stuff.
Look, I work on my place all the time. I'm always working on my place, remodeling it, redoing
Yeah, it looks
everything.
great. We appreciate that. I do. I'm sure everybody else up here does.
And my customers appreciate.
Mhm.
My customers appreciate that, but if this city makes it hard for the people to come down the street, I mean, I've been pissed off at you guys because we have Main Street affairs and it closes off Main Street. It's my business, but you know what? It's okay. It's okay because the way I feel about it is that if you're good enough, people are going to find a way to get to you.
That's true, which there was a gentleman here last week. Not last week, but last meeting. I'm not sure who it was, but I think they said the total travel time would only be increased by 30 seconds
Right.
to get from.
But I
point A
want to
point
tell you
B.
something. You're going to increase your accidents.
You won't.
If
Statistically, you
they
won't.
slowed, yeah, if they're made to
The whole
slow
point.
down and are they using the chicane that I was talking about earlier? And it makes it more of a.
I can tell you.
Chill out.
there'll be a lot less traffic. But the only reason for that, because they're going to go somewhere else. They're not going to come down here. I don't believe that. And maybe I'm wrong, because you know what? I've been wrong about things.
All right. Well, you've made your point.
Yeah.
So
We
Can I
appreciate
make
it.
one comment concerning all
Go
this
ahead.
here, just real quick? I mean, I was pretty much in the same ballpark that you're talking about right now, Mr. Dutcher, but I just happened to watch a live news show in downtown New York about a week and a half ago.
Mhm.
And they were showing, there was something going on in the city. And so it was a long time showing vehicles coming and going. And basically what they were, it was divided with one lane on one side. And then you had all these buildings, then you had one lane going the other direction. So it was a one-way type thing like this.
Right.
Downtown New York, I'm thinking, how's that going to work as far as traffic flow and people and so on and so forth? And you know what? Traffic was flowing without a problem because even though there was only one lane, and here it is in downtown New York City, and the traffic was moving because people knew they had so much time between this light and that light, whatever. And so that sort of changed my mind in a way of saying that I think that I don't think the traffic's going to be hurt that much if we go down from 4 lane to 2 lane. And I definitely think it's definitely going to be a safer time. And talk about businesses. I'll tell you one business that I did talk to about what I mentioned before was auto options. Right there.
Too low.
Yeah, Tom Tulip. They only have one parallel parking space in front of the building on Main Street. And then they got about 4 or 5 on the side there.
You
And
could park
they
15
would love
cars
to
next
have,
to his
they would
place.
love to have 5 or 6 angular parking in front of their business. Because they told me that some people drive by and never even see the building because of that situation. So everybody has a different point of view.
Right.
And all I can go by is what about the majority of what people tell me. And that's how I make my decisions up here.
All right, moving on.
All right.
Thank you. Carl. Please give your name and address for the record.
Is it on?
Yes, sir.
Okay, my name is Carl Cool. I own a building at 203 West Main Street. And I would like to speak and thank you for letting me address the council tonight. I think that if we look at some very basic, simple things, if we're trying to move traffic through Avon Park, 4 lanes will move traffic to Avon Park quicker and smoother than 2 lanes. That's just common sense. But what we need to address is the fact that we're not really trying to only move traffic to the city of Avon Park. I have owned a business, an engineering company at 203 West Main Street in Avon Park for about 13 years now. And if you go down Avon Park, walk down Main Street on a Saturday morning or on a weekday, you'll just find it's about the same as it was 13 years ago. We bought the building. Very many of the spaces are in. People can't make a living there. And like you said, in auto auctions, people drive by because they're busy with the 2 lanes that they're going in, and they don't stop. But we can, in Highlands County, look at another place. That's what these engineers are talking about. And that's downtown Lake Placid. If you go down to downtown Lake Placid on Interlake Boulevard, you'll find that they have angled parking spaces there. They have 1 lane eastbound and 1 lane westbound. They have more congestion than we do on Main Street. But they have businesses. People don't mind the congestion. You want to go east and west, there's a road called Dow Boulevard that people learn to use to go around. But in downtown, it's an inviting place to go and park and walk. We don't see that in downtown Avon Park. So I would encourage the council to consider the angled spaces as these engineers are talking about. I respectfully disagree with the man that just spoke to you. I am sure that the reason we have empty spaces continuously and have for over 10 years, all up and down Main Street in Avon Park, is because people that would go to that place don't go there because they don't have adequate parking. And people that build a mall know how far people will walk from a parking space to the front door of a building. And we don't have that. If we add some angled spaces on Main Street, it will add congestion. There's no question about that. But in downtown Lake Placid, congestion is not a concern. People go slower. I doubt they have a higher accident rate there than we can do on Main Street. But if we do add some congestion, it will be because people might be pulling in and out of businesses. I would just encourage the council to consider the spaces and the parking. And if you want to see how it was started, you go look at the picture of the Brickell building and the Jacaranda when it was built. And there was parking in the mall. And over the years, that was converted from parking in the mall, which provided parking for people to go to the businesses, to landscape. Lost parking. And then it was converted to 2 lanes eastbound, 2 lanes westbound. We lost parking. We lost business. Businesses can't survive. Retail businesses can't survive without parking close to their front door. And please don't forget that. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Carl.
Mayor,
Yes.
I just want to say, if you're going to use the microphone, be careful. If you cover it, it's going to kill the switch. It's towards the bottom right here.
Okay. Anyone else in the audience want to speak or ask any questions or? Surely there's someone out there who wants to speak.
Really not.
Okay.
Come on, Dale.
All right. Well, if there's no more questions, please. Yes, sir.
Can I read in one that somebody sent me that couldn't be here tonight?
Please.
I received a call from Tom Macklin at 609 East Main Street, ex-mayor, probably everybody here knows who Tom is. He planned on being here tonight, but unfortunately, he's with a loved one down at hospice house, so obviously that took priority over this. But what he sent me, he asked me to read off so that you could hear it and be in the record. 1, no dedicated bike lane. 2, no chicane lane swaps in zone 3. 3, traffic lanes in zone 3 should be the inside lanes in both directions. 4, no back-in angle parking in zone 1 or 2. 5, alternate back-in angle and parallel parking block to block and ensure the eastbound and westbound alternate as well. Example, parallel parking in front of the Jacaranda and back in at the Brickell, parallel in front of the Diving Girl and back in by the old bank. It will be a given that some will not want to back in but would parallel park. Having a choice of either at least within 1 block, either way might help. By ordinance, the official speed limit within Avon Park is 25 miles per hour unless otherwise posted. I strongly recommend reducing the speed limit to 25 in zone 3. Planned congestion should require that reduction.
Okay. I'll ask again, any other questions in the audience? Seeing none. Sir, you may continue.
Hey, Frank, just so you know, Govardhan is on. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, just one more slide in terms of next steps. So as Kyle. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me? One more slide. In terms of next steps, as Kyle kind of suggested, the recommended alternative would need to go under review by the FDOT Central Office Chief Design Engineer. If the alternative is approved, they'll move to design to begin implementation in fiscal year 26. If the alternative is not approved by the design engineer, it need to be refined. And so he will, he or she, will look at that and probably may have suggestions. We've already kind of coordinated with them in advance, just with his team to understand what potential issues might be, and we've addressed those issues in our designs. And just to the city can pursue other program funding to as part of this a lane repurposing report. The other thing that we're going to kind of capture is everything we heard in terms of like the vision for that corridor, so that it's clear to you, like you have that document that you can kind of refer. If the resolution is not passed, the resurfacing will proceed. And the city, you still have the document to move forward with other elements that the city, the community is kind of defined.
Okay. Just as one point I would like to make on the future scape there. I think everyone would probably agree that we need a multi-use path all the way down Main Street, right through the center of it. So we do have it in broken areas. So if you're going to include anything else for our vision, not just this resurfacing project, but the future vision of Avon Park, that we definitely want to include that in there. So if at all possible, make sure that's in there. Everyone agree with that?
Would you explain that again?
So we have a walking path through a considerable portion of the median and Main Street.
Okay.
Yeah, meanders around. Basically, that's broken up. It needs to be all one contiguous path. Needs to be wider,
Absolutely.
new lights, new irrigation, yada, yada, yada. So
I
just
agree.
please make sure that's in there.
Yes, sir.
I absolutely agree that we do need to slow down traffic. I think we definitely do need more parking. Really appreciate Carl's comments on that. As far as the only thing that was brought up by Jim is the waiting longer to go back to one lane. So like I was telling you before, every bit of traffic that enters Main Street enters from one lane. You know, we're not entering from two lanes. And so you have the ability to avoid that altogether of ever trying to converge two lanes into one by just simply not ever having two lanes on Main Street. So I think it would flow a lot better just to keep with the one lane and you have the turning lane everywhere that you need it. That way, because the big issue at Anoka is that huge load up of traffic that's trying to turn. And they're basically trying to turn in three directions, you know, either coming directly across or turning to all the restaurant, you know, all that.
Great.
The more of a turning lane that we could possibly give there, the better. And the most turn lane that we can give it is with the one lane either direction.
So if I have them come in, they've got a shot at turning right, like we're continuing straight.
Right. We never allow them to go into two lanes. That way you don't ever have to worry about, if you're going to be changing lanes, you're changing into a turning lane because you intend to turn. You're not trying to ever fight someone to get back into whatever lane you need to be in. So I think it would definitely smooth things out to keep it one lane the whole way. But having said that, you know, I would say the biggest pushback that I've heard is about the reverse angle parking. Statistically, I clearly see the benefits of it. I mean, you can read report after report that it is safer. It's not, you know, twice as safe, but it is definitely definitely safer. You can add it with a calculator and see it's better. I just don't know how many people are going to like it. I've probably had 3 to 4 people that have really been for it. The overwhelming majority have been against it. So I'm certainly willing to give ground on that. But by and large, I mean, I think the plan is a good one. We're not married to it forever. This Main Street was resurfaced. By the time this gets done, Main Street will have been resurfaced approximately 15 years prior. So that's probably a decent interval of how often this is going to get redone. So you have an opportunity in another, 15 years or sooner to change it if anything needs to be changed. But I think we're on the right track with it. I think that success begets success. I think we definitely need to see something new. Just by simply restriping the road and seeing new asphalt, it's going to attract more attention downtown because it is something new. So I definitely don't like trying the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. I do like the downtown Lake Placid. It's flourishing. It's going well. Why is that? Well, their taxes are higher, there's more bureaucracy to get things done, in my opinion. It's not because of those things. So it's not really incentive. It's, it's definitely something else to it. And it could be just strictly a sense of community. It could be the road, but I can tell you that it will build a closer knit community by slowing everything down. People are going to take more notice about what's around them. It does feel unsafe to be downtown, especially with little kids. I'm a new father myself. Even as a grown man, it doesn't make me feel good to cross the road at many times, especially when school's coming in or getting out. So I think we're on the right track with it, and I fully support it. So anything else?
Just tell me if I'm wrong, but where your business is at, Mr. Dutcher, that's still going to be 2 lanes plus a turn lane. So that's not, there's still going to be plenty of time for people to get into your business at that location. So I don't think. Well,
Hey, sir, hold on. Just get up to the microphone. That way it's on the record.
I think you're going to have right there a left turn lane.
For the record, this is Mr. Dutcher.
Yeah.
John Dutcher,
There you go.
Dutcher's Diner.
All right.
From what they're saying is it's going to be immediately. And the other thing too, I'm not just concerned about me, because I know Tom Tulo. I know a lot of the other business owners in this town. I don't want this town, just the businesses just to die out. You know what I mean? And I think that if maybe I'm old school, maybe I'm
Well,
old school.
you're not really old school, because real old school would be for this project.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Well, just coming down the damn road. I know.
No, it wasn't until the 50s.
Yeah. No, I know. But what I'm saying is that, in other words, I don't want to turn people off. I'm talking about people in Sebring, I have people come from Lake Wales, Sebring, Lake Placid, come to my restaurant. And I don't want to turn those people away because of the conditions of the road.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wasn't there, was there a specific question you asked, Jim?
Yeah, it's,
No,
it's,
well.
there's gonna be two
my
lanes.
Question for Frank.
All right.
All right, so when you're on Main Street and you're going west. When you come past Anoka, don't you have to have a left turn lane, a through lane and a right turn lane?
You would still have the same configuration, at 27?
Going from Main Street to 27. I mean,
Like
You-
from Anoka, which is one block.
Yeah.
Chrissy, can
Yeah,
you show that?
right.
To 27. That's where my diner is. And there's two lanes there now. But what you're saying, what he's saying is that there's only gonna be one lane.
On the other side of Main
Let's look at,
Yeah.
it's just so everybody's clear. Yeah, can you go all the way to 27? You're gonna have a person. Do your diner too.
I'm glad to hear that.
All right.
You'll find some good food. Yeah.
Okay, you still have the same configuration on 27. On Main Street at 27.
I don't even, where's my diner? I don't never look at my diner from.
You're just above Main Street there.
Right there?
Two buildings, 3 buildings from 27.
Yeah. So there's, all right, so that's me right there.
Yep.
Me right there.
right.
Yes.
And what's that lane going that way is going.
It's the same.
That's the same.
It's the same.
But there's only one road. It's like that's gonna be one lane going that way, right?
It's one, so we're gonna add this option adds a bicycle lane coming here,
Alright.
and it merges the traffic. There's 2 lanes right here.
Right.
There's a merge lane
Mm-hmm.
to get them in the,
You know, this Anoka is a nightmare. It's a nightmare. I go to the bank
Yeah.
right there. and
Okay.
I go 2 roads down.
All right, we gotta reel this back in.
All right. This thing.
Go forward.
All right.
All right, Mayor, go forward with what you're going to say.
I have one question.
All right,
for
go ahead.
Frank.
This, the.
Question for Frank. Step up to the podium. What you got?
The, are you, okay, so there's some of the businesses along Main Street that have no curbs. Right in front of Palmer Electric, there's no curb. If this resurfacing gets done, are you going to add a curb in there? How are you gonna stop people from not pulling up on the sidewalk? They don't have a
They're
curb.
they're not touching curbs.
we're not touching the.
Not with
curbs.
this resurfacing project.
Nope.
That parallel parking would still be there.
Okay. So
They made
what
that.
about the one that's, well, that would be covering.
They will not touch curbs.
Okay. The dance
Okay.
studio,
Center stage.
right, they don't have a
Dance
curb
studio.
either. And neither does the bank.
Are they in zone 2 though? Zone 2 is still gonna be parallel parking, so they're not.
Oh, got it,
changing any
got
of
it.
that.
Okay, okay.
So maybe I can suggest a way to deal with this. Somebody feels like they have an idea of what to tell them that we need in a resolution to pass, then perhaps you can make a motion in that regard, and then we could just amend it if somebody's not, if the group's not happy with it, then amend it. But you need to go forward and tell them what they need to put into a resolution, because we don't have a resolution at this moment.
Yeah, we've drafted a resolution for consideration.
It's in there, but I told them whatever they come up with, we would change it.
Okay.
Okay.
But
So the
we won't-
resolution would be to pass everything as presented with their recommendation, correct?
It's actually, you should have it in there, the resolution. They've got 2 things in there. It's on the last page.
The last page of this or on our
Actually, it was sent to you in your
Yeah.
packet. The
Okay.
resolution
It's
is
page
in
number
there.
4 of your packet.
Right on the top, it starts. Well, actually, before that is zone 1, zone 2.
Yeah, so basically it's got all of their it does have the ors everywhere.
It can be
I think there's only.
whatever your desires.
Let's go by,
Sure.
let's go by each zone on the, where it shows zone 1, no changes or changes, zone 2, no changes, and zone 3. I
Yeah,
think
so
that'd be the easiest way.
the only change that I think needs to be made is just whether or not we want reverse angle parking or straight in angle parking in zone 3.
Yeah, I'm a guess reverse angle.
Also in the workshop we had not too long ago, I spoke with you guys about putting in more crosswalks.
Mhm.
Has that been added in also?
Crosswalks will be in all of the sections in zone 3.
But that's all, nowhere else?
We don't have them throughout the whole corridor because there needs to be.
Because we're promoting people to walk down there.
There needs to be a sidewalk in the median.
Right.
And most of the median in zone 3 on zone 2 does not have a
Right.
sidewalk.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you can simply add stripes later to add a crosswalk, right?
You can.
So we have tons of sidewalk on the side streets, but what he's saying is that there's none in the actual median. So until we build those sidewalks in the median itself, we're not supposed to have a crosswalk there.
Okay, so but a perfect example would be Prospect Avenue. I know there's a sidewalk that comes off of Prospect. Cause that's in front of the Napa building, if I'm not mistaken. old
Is the
Napa.
sidewalk in the actual
Yes.
median?
Yes.
Okay, so all the ones that have sidewalks in the median did have crosswalks on their
Okay,
plan.
that would be my suggestion. Everyone that has a sidewalk should have a crosswalk.
Just like where the fountain is over there, actually right close to Dutcher's Diner.
I
Yes.
believe we have.
There'll be one there.
And I had also asked them about putting one at the park.
At Donaldson Park.
Yes. That leads off of that sidewalk.
As long as they meet ADA requirements, we can put in a crosswalk.
Yeah,
Well,
we would have to make improvements to the median. to do that.
what we have as the resolution in the packet, they've broken it down, zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3 is zone 3 or another alternative.
Right.
So we really weren't intending to pass this tonight without making some changes.
Right.
Perhaps if I can suggest a way that we do this is under section 2, take the first one in zone 1. It's talking about having 2 travel lanes, which I think you're discussing, not just having 1 travel lane in that section. And just have somebody come up with a motion with regard to zone 1 first and deal with it piece by piece.
I agree with that.
Yep. So the way it's written here, zone 1 is going by their suggested change.
Well,
But the one question I have, it says, incorporate eastbound bike lane. And then it says westbound parking. What kind
right.
of,
So
what kind of parking we talking about?
parallel parking.
Okay.
And there's only a few spots. It's not going to
Right.
change much from what's out there. So in zone 1, it's the only thing that's really changing is we're adding the concept adds a bicycle lane in
Transverse.
the east direction. And it has a specific turn lane. We merge
Right.
traffic in and then they
Okay.
can turn right.
Just slightly in front of Merlot's there and.
But there's still
Yeah.
2 lanes going in the
Well, each way, it's according to this, it's 2 travel lanes in each direction, which I
well,
think,
there's 2 travel lanes, but then they merge into one right at the intersection.
okay.
So is
Okay.
one of the lanes, is it for traffic coming across 27, like from 64 to Main Street? And then the other one is to turn off of 27 onto Main Street? Is that why that you still want 2 there versus the
So
one that Eric?
there's
or
2 coming
Eric's
from
talking about?
20.
Right.
Okay, and so it'll merge.
Right. I understand that. So I guess he's saying
Yeah,
if we only put 1 there, period,
the question is why have a merge at all?
why have 2 to
You
get
have the
on?
right turn, the right people that are coming off of 27 traveling north to east will turn. And it'll give them an opportunity to merge in.
You could have a turn lane and a right turn on red in the other direction.
That's not gonna happen right at Anoka. is it?
He's gonna answer here.
Oh.
So. Left turn, there's 1 lane coming down from the top.
Okay. Is Govardhan on the line? Govardhan, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Did you hear that discussion?
Yes, I do. So the reason why we definitely want to at least maintain 2 lanes, at least in zone 1, is because there's a lot of businesses and out there. We don't want to create like a quick choke point out there and create confusion. So we wanted to make sure that at least in the eastbound direction, transition them slowly into one lane, open up the right turn lane at the intersection. In that way, you're maintaining that one lane further east. Come west side, the reason why we want to maintain two lanes is because of the proximity to 27. So as the future traffic on 27 gets increased, we don't want to create much further delay. So it is, even though we are saying it is 2 lanes, it is essentially acting as a storage lane for the vehicles, not rather than extending further to the east of Anoka, westbound.
Okay.
Because we don't want to stack up, we want to have the congestion pain, as you said, as you all know, that, it is true, yes. And with one lane, congestion will be up, and it's purposeful, is to slow the traffic down. But at the same time, trying to create opportunity to lessen the pain point, and especially close to the proximity to 27, we want to create as much storage lanes, and westbound having 2 lanes would definitely help that.
Okay. All right. So Jerry, it might be beneficial to go ahead and read the resolution into the record.
Well, we don't really even know what it's going to look like yet. So I'm thinking if you guys, they can't pass this tonight without the changes. If there are going to be any changes, or not going to be any changes, you think?
Well, what I'm saying is that you can make changes after the short title's been
Okay.
read into the record. That way we go, otherwise we're going to have to read it into the record after we vote to make changes and then vote again.
Okay. Resolution of City of Avon Park City Council supporting the Florida Department of Transportation's evaluation and findings of a lane repurposing on State Road 17, Main Street, providing an effective date.
All right. Thank you very much. So I think zone 1 and zone 2 are good to go with their recommendations. And then for zone 3, just simply, instead of having reverse angle parking, going to standard front angle parking would be the only change that I would seek. And that will be my motion to approve resolution 2020. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's 2 options here.
Yes.
For zone 3.
Okay.
So you have to select which option and then change the angle parking at that
Right.
point.
So the motion would be to approve resolution 2023-07. Agreeing to everything in zone 1, zone 2, selecting the first option in zone 3, and changing from reverse angle parking to front angle parking. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All right, now questions. You have anything?
No, I'm just looking at it through a safety lens, and that's I like the back end, but I understand it.
I agree with you, but
Mhm.
the majority of
It's
the
good.
people did not. All right, any other questions?
Can you explain option 2 in zone 3 to me?
Option 2 in
Parallel
zone 3, is
parking.
that with the parallel parking?
And the buffered bike lane.
Turn lane at Lake Avenue. So at Lake Ave, yeah, I just wanted to have you explain the turn lane at Lake Avenue.
And maybe we can bring it up too. But it's you would have parallel parking, bicycle lane, and then the turn lane at Lake.
And is that where the merge would be? Oh, no, we're already.
It's
Where would the
easier
merge be?
on the
Way it.
Yeah.
Off of 27.
let's just show it. If we can, yeah.
Oh, way back here.
Go to
This is
Lake,
at the entrance of Walgreens.
go to zone 3, please.
So there, you're still gonna try to put a merge lane right there at Anoka where the busy intersection is?
It's right
What-
before Anoka.
Mhm.
It's right at the entrance between the Walgreens entrance and.
Right at the entrance.
He was saying it would allow more traffic to get off the 27 onto Main Street. Was the purpose behind that?
All right. That's all I have.
Okay, so there's Lake and zoom in.
Kind of in
Okay.
the shadow there.
Okay, well, it's in the shadow, but you can see the left turn right there.
Mhm.
It takes the motorists that want to turn left out of the stream of traffic and therefore the stream of traffic flows up.
Okay, anything else? Seeing none, we have a motion and a second, so we'll call the roll.
Councilmember McGuire,
Yes.
Councilmember McCure,
No.
Councilmember Taylor,
No.
Deputy Mayor Bernard,
Yes,
Mayor Anderson,
Yes,
motion passes.
thank you very much. Guys, we appreciate the time very much. We look forward to seeing what DOT has to say. Yep, and any other opportunities that we have to put together anything for a future plan. Let us know so that we can start seeking those grants to make those changes, like what Shelley brought up with the crosswalks and things like that.
We'll give you a packet that lays that out.
Very good.
Frank.
Appreciate it.
Can I,
Yes,
what date do you need this? Because I guess Jerry, you're gonna tweak it and then we'll get the mayor to sign it.
They have the document. I don't have it in Word unless they can send it to me the Word.
We can get it to you.
Okay, it'd take me 5 minutes to tweak it. I'm not even that.
Because I know you guys need at least by the end of the month or something. There's a day.
You know,
Right.
'cause-
you need it.
'cause I'm-
I know it's late, but I wanted to bring up one thing about the trucks that run through.
Yep.
I feel like trucks, when they find a shortcut, they're gonna take it, no matter how slow or fast they have to go, what obstacles they have to get through. So I'm wondering, or I'm actually asking, who enforces the trucks, the no trucks on Main Street? Who's supposed to enforce that?
Sheriff's Department.
Was our ordinance written that the sheriff's department would do it, or the city? The police?
It was done before the sheriff's department's here, so there was no enforcement because the presumption was that the city police department would enforce it. But we can change that and add enforcement to it.
Good question.
But I think Mark, probably a good idea to talk to the sheriff and make sure they're going to do that.
Yeah, I thought all of those things got transferred over.
No, all of them didn't. There was just a few. I don't think they're gonna take on all of them, but we can ask them, but
Well, yeah, because he's, when I asked him that question, whether he would enforce some of these other things that they weren't enforcing, if we were going to pay all that extra money, he said he would.
Oh.
My
we'll
recollection.
find out.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, anything else for the good of the city? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Seeing no opposition, we are adjourned.